Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AI Tripod podcast. We are going to talk about all things AI machine learning across three different perspectives. Hi, my name is Karthick. I'm a sophomore in high school.
Hi guys, I'm Loveneet. I'm an undergraduate studying computer science.
Hi, my name is Arun. I'm a professional with 25 years of experience. I'm here to share and learn about AI, generative AI. Glad to be here.
As usual, all views and opinions expressed are our own and do not represent any organization, employer, or company. This podcast is independently produced and all content is for informational purposes only. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the AI Tripod podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the Chatgpt's image and API release, the cursor system prompt leak, and breakthroughs with communication barriers leveraging AI, as well as the U.S. deepfake bill and the AKA the Takedown Act. So you can start with the image and API, guys. We can talk about that, how it's released recently. The big image generation that they released a while ago is now released with the API.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so do you know any limits on the API?
No, I haven't had a lot of chance to like experiment with it, but I do know that certain apps are now going to start using it, and it could be even used for like I could see it. For example, you know, how Sam Altman uses it for like his X avatar and everything on X. You could be used for social media stuff like that. Again, I'm wondering where if they're released an API also because they're planning. I think last week we talked about them using like it for a social
I
media
saw
type
that,
thing.
I saw a video where a guy was like, experimenting with designing a lot of graphics with the latest ChatGPT 4.0, and man, the output were like next level. Like they were like, he took like one product, he took another background, and he took another image of like, want to
Yeah,
add some maybe some banana.
yeah.
He was like, making an ad for
I
banana
do
shake or
have some
something, and
stats here from OpenAI on the API. Let me share my screen and we can take a look at their official release from OpenAI. So this is the pricing that they've released for it. For $5 per million tokens for input, for text input, and then output is $40 per million tokens. Quite
Look at
expensive.
the high quality image, right? Is 19 cents. Like, that's much more easier to digest, right? So the very high quality one per image would be 19 cents, which is not bad. Which is not bad in my opinion, right?
Definitely, I mean, of course, it's higher quality, but also a lot more expensive than earlier kind of other models that do image generation, but it is better. It is objectively like a better image generation.
what I've thought is like whenever OpenAI, releases a new model or creates a new high, industry chases that, and when it becomes a standard, and the prices come down.
Also, another thing is that it also depends on the quality. It's not only like 19 cents. If you really don't care about the quality a lot and you just want good image generation, but quality can be a little bit lagging, it's 2 cents per an image download. So it's not just the 19 as they say right here.
And I saw a couple of use case scenarios, which was very good in the same document. One was with Canva. Canva has an integration to this because that's ideal platform, right? Where you want to generate these images.
Here, I believe.
Canva is one of them. The other one is GoDaddy, right below that, right? And that is for logo generation. Do you guys remember how hard it was to generate a logo for your website and you had to find out who the guy is good at generating logos? Now, not anymore, right?
I think there was a
Yeah.
proper company startup doing that.
I know. But this one, remember, it's democratizing, right? You don't need any even company. You call the API, you know how to write the prompt, it'll do the job for you. It's an excellent use case, both of them.
Yeah. I think HubSpot's another one here with marketing tools and how it's being used for that. What's okay, that's interesting. They're also using it in Instacart for images for recipes. That's another use case.
Very appealing, right? Like Instacart is all about images and engaging with the audience, and I'm sure this medium is going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And then
also
again,
they looks like from a safety standpoint, see that C2PA, it's content provenance and authentication. I think that's what that stands for. It's like a rubber stamp you provide on the image that says
Yeah.
it is generated from OpenAI. That's what
Yeah.
that is.
Also, another thing is that the disclaimer down here sort of is again with any AI, especially I think Amazon presses this a lot, but at least here they say that they don't train off of that data, whatever you're using it for, they don't train it. Yeah, I think that's very interesting to see where it'll be used by developers, especially because before it was just like Sora or ChatGPT.com, only two places where you could try it out. But it's going to be interesting where developers will use it. And I think image generation in apps and everything will be a lot better now with the API. And the
Yeah.
relatively not high price depending on how many you're generating.
We just have to play with it and see how those 3 quality images look like.
Yeah, I think
And right.
Canva would be the best thing ever to, use this because it's very easy and with this capability, this will like really put a like step forward into that.
Now I'm going to go to Canva because I already have a subscription with Canva. I want to go play with Canva and see how that transforms from Canva.
So I
Yeah.
wonder with really quickly before we wrap up this topic, Um, who will own like the copyright for the images? Because I know OpenAI is generating it, but Canva also has their own Canva Create license, which many schools already have bought for like using their stuff for presentations. But I wonder which one will that fall underneath? Will it fall underneath OpenAI's generation thing, or if it's technically a Canva feature using it, how will that work out with copyright?
I think it would be, commercially viable. So I think Canva would be the one who will give you, commercial license on any asset you generate
Because I
because
think
that's
OpenAI
how it
also
should
had
be.
copyright shield, right? I don't know if it still, I think it still applies to this new updated version of it, but they did have copyright shield in Dolly 3 at least, that you could use it for anything and they would pretty much protect you against all like the copyright lawsuit.
Indemnification, basically, right? They're providing the indemnification. So as far as it's wrapped under Canva, see, when a Canva user comes and using Canva, they're dealing with Canva. Canva
Yeah.
internally is using this API. Tomorrow they could use some other API, doesn't matter. But as far as the user is concerned, it makes sense to stay with Canva,
Yeah.
right? But again, we are not
Yeah.
legal experts here to pass legal
Yeah.
opinions on this. It is just logically what a user would think through, right?
Yeah.
So I think now we can transition over to the cursor system prompt leak
What's
and
going
sort of,
on?
I think some guy actually broke the whole system prompt and was able to leak that from the cursor. Yeah.
It help me understand this. How the hell somebody can break the prompt in cursor? What did he
No, I
do?
think he's like jailbreak. He literally, I think, jailbreak the AI into telling the prompt.
So he put some fancy jailbreaking
Yeah.
prompts to reveal the prompts behind the cursor and these tools. Wow. I would have hoped these companies would have protected because that's their main IP, right? They would
Yep.
have protected it to the max, but I'm surprised.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
also,
But
I
the
think on one of the videos that Loveneet shared, the prompt was literally just, you are an AI coding assistant using Claude 3.7, help this user with building this. It's a very, not even like a very complex system prompt, I believe, if it was true, but like that
but
they were using
the
really.
thing is, it is very detailed. It's like very detailed. Even to, steps like, which you would think that models of like this generation would know. Like, uh, make sure that whatever code you put, it is runnable in the Go. User doesn't have to make much edits. Make sure to follow the documentation and even like minute details such as, like follow the best practices, make sure UI is modern and like
Yeah,
all these things.
yeah, but also it's gonna be interesting to see now what people are gonna do. Are they gonna continue using Cursor, or are they gonna just create some GPT with the same exact prompt and just use that? Because ideally, it should be the same thing, just with a different model, right?
I would think that, even because VS Code is like very much free right now, the best ideal thing would be to basically build a extension which you can just have all of these prompts. And the thing is now in he I think the guy created a repo on GitHub, and if I can share.
I may be wrong here. Is that illegal or like, the guy like went and did all of this stuff and put it in GitHub? We know who he is probably, right? I don't know whether we know who he is, but I'm just kind of Like, I don't know whether it's even considered illegal.
I don't think so. Like, because I mean, it's fully open source right now, so
Yeah,
it doesn't like
it
created anything.
depends. I think because generally, and of course, disclaimer, I'm not like a lawyer or anything like that, but I think generally, like if it's a company secret, as in like you haven't copyrighted it, but it's a company secret, I think they still can do something about it. But I'm not sure where the AI prompt injecting kind of that you did here falls into that because he didn't like hack into the company's thing and steal it that way. He literally just prompted the AI.
He just exposed a vulnerability in their system. And it's not only one company. You see the folder there,
Yeah,
right? There's Lovable, there's Cursor, there is
yeah.
every single company you can think of.
Devin, Anthropic, Manus, Mistral,
I mean, you could literally go
OpenAI,
through each of
Perplexity.
these prompts, understand what it is, and do your own.
And
You
I guess it's
remember Windsurf?
yeah. I guess it's
Windsurf
not
was
just
getting
Cursor.
acquired.
It's not just Cursor, the leak. It's across a
Yeah,
lot of the other
it's
no
like
code, low code kind of
it's like
tools.
I think Windsurf was getting acquired for $10 billion or something. This is its
So what?
I think yeah, that is a question. This is a prompt and this is the tool list. And the thing is the best thing that I mean the one thing is like it's like looking under the hood, like how these tools are actually, you know, building off of that, building prompts and creating the whole ecosystem.
Loveneet, if you look at the Windsurf prompt, you go to the Windsurf prompt MD file, right? If you look at that, it is just hardly one pager. Okay. Can you run a multi-billion-dollar company with this one prompt? I don't think that is like the right thing to look at, right?
So the thing is that this is just like, one piece of the puzzle. The whole product isn't the just the prompt. I think it's like, layering on top of each other. They have, if you see, there's a Windsurf tools.md. I'm not sure how much accurate this whole, thing is, but according to this, that like these are the tool calling. They have built all these tools and given like, how the MCP is. That's what I'm getting from it. It has description in it. It
I
has
mean, we
properties.
can just because we have this, you can build a competitor to Windsor or whatever. It's about the ecosystem. It's about the user experience. It's a lot of things that go on, right? Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something very like the whole industry knows how these leading tools who are, actually providing value to everyone, how they are operating under the hood.
I'm sure we'll give the links to it in
Yeah,
our
I think I
podcast.
already
Yeah,
I think I already
because
added.
people can look at this to learn how to write a prompt. That's like a good learning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This tells everyone how under the hood, like, all these tools work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay,
Right.
so now we can transition over to breaking through communication barriers, leveraging AI or anything sort of stuff.
That's an interesting one, though. This has been an interesting area, right? See, there are a lot of people who are smart and brilliant, okay? But when it comes to communicating their knowledge, they're not able to get through. Either they're very good in their native language, but they're not good at English. And they're working in an environment where everybody speaks English. So they're not able to communicate everything over. Or some people have even stuttering, right? I've heard some brilliant people I've come across in my life that they have great ideas, but they won't talk a lot because they have this physical kind of ability that's preventing them from doing it. Now, it's very nice to see AI stepping up the game here, trying to do the translation. People with the traditional accent, it just puts a layer on top of that and communicates what they want to communicate in a very effective way and overcome all of these limitations. And again, I came across this company called Crisp. I believe it's a California-based company, but again, we are not endorsing any company in here. Just as an example, right? They are trying to work on this ability of taking a person who's a native language speaker of a specific language and be able to nicely enable them to communicate their ideas.
Right. Yeah, I think I know where this company comes in hand because they're like the main technology that Discord, one of the main communication softwares, uses for like the technology that kind of isolates voices and makes like distracts like removes the background sound, sorry. I think that's the technology that Discord uses for that. So their main company is around like the voice thing and like removing background noise, that sort of technology. So maybe that's where they're kind of getting at because they already are in like a partnership kind of with Discord on how to on using it with their calls.
So is it like different than, have you guys seen the Samsung Galaxy phones? They also have something for the translation. I'm not
This
sure if they,
for the boys and making sure it's like kind of nicely massaged for the delivery.
yeah, I think so. Like, they just like, you just speak on the phone and it like, translate and it's all running locally on the phone
On the
only.
device on the
Yeah, yeah,
Samsung
yeah,
phone.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just like, do this and it speaks
How come
any
iPhone doesn't
language.
do anything like this? Samsung does it. How come iPhone doesn't do anything
I
like this?
think iPhone is very safe, but they don't experiment
They don't
much.
do like the live translation, but there are, I believe like in their they do have a translate app that does do like the you say something and then it gets translated live time on the phone to another language. But I don't think they have like the live as in like as you're speaking, it's speaking the another language type translation.
That would be a
I'm not
great way
sure,
to
but
bed, right? Something like that.
yeah,
So
I think I just saw that in an ad on the Samsung Galaxy, like a new AI stuff. I'm not sure how much that works or anything, but that was pretty cool regarding the translation.
yeah, I'm wondering how much of a lag there is, or is it like very near real time? Nobody will even notice it. I'm assuming these things are very, very real
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah. I mean,
great.
user experience is important.
Yeah, I know, I know. There are some pros and cons in all of this, but the ability to help people who weren't able to help themselves and now express their thoughts and views
Yeah.
is very exciting. So we gotta give it to you.
Yeah, okay. So I think the final sort of main topic here comes from governance with the US deepfake bill, not law bill, and how it's being referred to more as like the Takedown Act by the US government. And how I think starting off here, I've seen like an article here on more of the updates generally of technology in the US government in quarter 1. One of the main things was this Take It Down Act. And I believe what it says is basically if somebody makes a deep fake of you without your permission, you within 48 hours, if you request like the company to take it down, they do have to the platform to take it down, they do have to take it down by the FTC, like they'll require them to take it down, as far as I know. But yeah, I think that's when it passed the Senate, I believe, in February 13th, I think, of 2025. It has passed the Senate. It's not a full law yet. I think it still might have to pass the House and get approved by the president, but yeah.
I think it's very serious business. I'm glad this bill is out there because imagine like elderly people, for example, very very vulnerable population, right? Their son calls them, on the phone. The voice is their son. The picture, the video is looks like their son, and says, "I'm in trouble. Send me $10,000, mom. I'm doing this stuff," and it's
I
so
just wanna
real that they would be fooled, right?
I just wanna butt in here again. This law, it'll only I don't think it'll many of those potentially, scammers are usually not in the US. Generally speaking, they're not usually based in the US geographically. So I wonder if like this law will apply in the US, but I wonder if it'll apply if like if the scammer is scamming someone inside the US, whether that
That
law will apply.
section would come in. If the guy is doing it in social media or whatever, those companies are primarily based in
Yeah.
US. So they will have to comply within 48 hours. If somebody complains, they got to take it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be the case because I think many major tech platforms are US
Yeah.
based. And
But
if
also
this law passes,
yeah, another thing is that I think Telegram is a very, very common one used for scamming, and I think it also has a call feature, but I'm pretty sure it's either open source or something like that, but I'm not sure where, like, at least where they're registered. Because if it is not in the US, then again, we get into like that weird area where does the law or like the potential law will apply. But I think you're right in the main area being like YouTube and all those other platforms that are based in the US the potential law would definitely affect. But I think it's important that we do have some sort of law eventually like this. Hopefully that it will pass the House and pass the president. But yeah,
Even in one of the conferences that I attended, this topic came up, and I said everybody in their family should make up a code that only they know. They don't write it anywhere or whatever, right? If worst comes the worst, right? Say, send me $10,000. What is their family code? If the thing goes hallucinates and does stuff, you know that it is a fake thing. And these are like before the industry figures out, before the government figures out, you as an individual need to take the necessary precautions to, because it's happening right now. It will happen right now. So you want to protect yourself, right? So it's important to think through how to mitigate that.
Yeah, obviously it's happened enough that the government sees a need for there to be a law for it. Obviously, it's very prevalent. Otherwise, if it was like happening once in like a blue moon, they wouldn't really, I don't think they would really care that much about creating a law, frankly. But I think it's been happening a lot recently that they feel the need to create a law criminalizing it and making it a crime.
The thing is, like, after this ChatGPT 4.0 model and how close images it can create, and I think now, the API has been released, and I think the industry will follow. Like, if the open source, if we see it's like, 4 months or 5 months behind that also, then also I think it's a right time for this law to be.
I'm also curious whether it'll apply to that as well, since they clearly outline deep fakes, which I think is more broadly defined as like videos that depict somebody as if they were doing something which they're not. But will that apply to image generation, since that can also sort of be used with like giving a person an image of like a person doing something, even if it's not a video of them doing something, if it'll still apply.
It doesn't matter whether it's a video or image. If you have me like saying something like I shouldn't, like I don't approve of or whatever, and it's not even me, right? I have the right. I should have the right. I should say, to take it
And
down.
another thing pops up is I know I've seen on Sora multiple times. Again, obviously the podcast does not represent like our personal or like views or whatever, but I've seen multiple posts of like Donald Trump doing something with Elon Musk or something like that on Sora's website. That is technically then a deep fake, isn't it? If it's depicting like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, like you've seen all of those images on Sora of them doing stuff. Some of them, of course, appropriate, some of them not. OpenAI has made it clear they're going to not really do a whole lot of stuff and kind of let that happen, let people be creative according to their announcement. But will that intersect with this law and how to work with deepfake?
If Elon Musk or Donald Trump comes and says take it down after this law, they got to take that down, is what I would assume, within 40.
Because I think on the Dora's main website itself has sort of transformed into a social media of AI generated images, kind of. With them, with if you go to the main feed, it's almost like a feed now of images, and about like I would say 30, like 50% almost are depicting somebody else doing something. And of course it's mostly appropriate stuff, but still there's a big deep fake kind of thing going on there.
Karthik and Loveneet, in our last podcast, we talked about OpenAI's aspiration to become a social media giant too, right? This is all like, set in place leading to that, basically. That's why you see that. And that's my honest, humble opinion, you know?
Did you guys know about character AI?
That's a very popular company, right? One of the leading AI companies. Everybody wants to create their own buddies, friends, and chat with them, right? That's what character AI.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I think this is what
I
I'm
think
talking about, where it's almost like a feed. They even added likes now. So it's literally exactly like Instagram, but with AI
yeah.
generated images. And here we see a depiction, literally almost a deep fake right here. And again, people doing stuff, characters doing stuff. So again, you can see how even look Gordon Ramsay right here with Ratatouille. You can
Yeah,
see
what
like
about copyright? What about copyright in Ratatouille right there, right? It's a movie, right? Somebody
I
should own the
have to
copyright
say,
to it. What happens to that?
and also the kitchen, Hell's Kitchen. It's a copy. It's like a place. It's a restaurant. It's a restaurant chain actually, but yeah, but they also have like some sort of copyright probably. Also,
I think
Gordon
there would
Ramsay's
be.
likeness as well.
Did you guys know about like companies who like, you contact to, get your data off of these big platforms?
No?
But I haven't
I'm not
seen
sure.
any company take initiative and do that with Sora, especially since I guess it's more of a closed social media since you do need to actually like
Is
have access to it. But
isn't that like, some like, there is a fair use policy also, like, some of the public figures, if someone is a public figure, people can, critique them and do stuff like that. Maybe that is also, a borderline for the
Like,
public
look at these
figures.
images. Like this one with Donald Trump crossing out Mexico, writing America, and then this one up here, which has all three of like the main figures on there with like depicting them. So again, it's gonna be interesting to see how that
Yeah.
plays out. Who's gonna be controlling?
Some comments from some people who are familiar with this area to say when it comes to public figures showing things that they didn't really do, is that really valid even, or is it fall under the same deep fake criteria
Yeah,
where
but like because I think under fair use, like many people or many publications also use public figures images and everything to say a lot of stuff. So I think that
that
would
been
be,
practiced for a long time? Like even in newspapers, in the old newspapers, they
yeah,
do it all the time. But
yeah,
interesting to see how that works.
yeah,
Cool.
It's become easier than ever to create a deep fake because now with Sora, you just have to pay a little, like maybe $20 a month, and then you have access to Sora, and you can create like a short 10-second clip of anyone really doing anything at this point because they haven't really involved a whole ton of guardrails, I would say, around that sort of video generation.
I think even in the API that we talked about today, image API, they have a range filter where you can say filter heavily or filter light. You can move that around as a developer, right? So you have the control to do that. That was interesting. I saw that in the documentation.
Of course, they've been putting this under the guise, sort of like the guise of creativity as like basically light guardrails is what they're talking about when they talk about creativity on their announcement, I think a while ago. It's how like Altman put it when he announced it.
Cool.
So yeah, I think that was very interesting to talk about all the recent stuff with governance in AI, communication, the prompt leak, image and API. A whole lot of stuff happened this week. Okay, guys. So yeah, I think that's all the time we have for today. So everyone, make sure to tune in next week as we explore more advancements in AI and the road of AI. And
So
yeah, make sure to watch more episodes of the podcast. And we also have clips and shorts coming soon. So yeah,
take care. Big. Bye.
bye.